This unit covers basic sociological theory on groups and organizations. Groups are collectivities of people who believe that they belong together. They interact in a series of regularly patterned relationships. Just because you put people together for analytic purposes doesn't make them a group. Sociologists discuss primary versus secondary groups, in-groups versus out-groups, reference groups, and social networks, among other things. Primary groups are your fundamental or critical groups with whom you have face-to-face interaction on a regular basis. They provide your critical care and meet important needs for you. You have deep connections with other members of these groups. Secondary groups are larger, more anonymous, more formal, and more impersonal. These are like the people you interact with at school. You have a relationship with them based on your shared interests or activities, your shared goals, or at least your commonality as a student. One identifies strongly with whom one perceives to be the in-group. When one refers to an out-group, it's a group with whom one has antagonism, animosity, or enmity. Your reference group is your comparison group. It's against whom one measures oneself. The problem is, in a diverse society, you may be receiving multiple and mixed messages about to whom one should compare oneself and what measuring up would look like. Groupthink, or tunnel vision, occurs when members of a group all start to conform to a particular way of thinking or view. Studying social networks is a robust field of analysis. Sociologists who study social networks look at the different ways people are linked. Classic sociological theorist Georg Simmel pointed out that group size impacts how groups interact. Dyads with only two people are unstable and last only as long as both agree to maintain the connection. Triads are still relatively unstable and often produce coalitions. The larger the group, the more stable it's going to be over time, but the less intense individual attachment will be to that group. Some key themes surrounding leadership in sociology are the traits of who is selected as a leader, types of leaders, and leadership styles. Whether extroverted or introverted, leaders have the ability to be outgoing when necessary. Leaders are often perceived as having traits that represent the group, and leaders often have a cult of personality or charisma. Leaders are sometimes differentiated as instrumental versus expressive. Instrumental leaders keep groups moving toward goals. Expressive leaders may not be recognized as a leader, but they keep group morale up. Democratic leaders govern by attempting to gain consensus. Authoritarian leaders don't bother, they simply give orders. Laissez-faire leaders are highly give orders, and as you can imagine, democratic leaders tend to be the most effective. Overall, as you can imagine, democratic leaders are seen as the most effective. Intentionally formed groups that have some sort of goal or end purpose are referred to as organizations. Max Weber argued that in modernity, the type of organization that would come to predominate is the most efficient type of organization, the bureaucracy. Bureaucracies are hierarchical, have a strict division of labor, have written and or now digital communication, keep records, are impersonal and interchangeable. Authority, according to Weber, is either based on tradition, charisma, or rational legal, the rule of law. In bureaucracies, The rational legal comes to predominate. This is one of the advantages. Weber argues that in the modern world, bureaucracies will come to predominate. He argues they are self-perpetuating and that even if a goal is achieved, the organization will still continue to exist. The problem with bureaucracies is that there will be increasing red tape and inflexible rules. People feel alienated as they are treated as rules, functions, and roles rather than unique individuals. And a certain level of incompetence is going to ensue. An additional problem is that people tend to mentor and promote those who they perceive as being like them. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and those who are like the leaders are those who then become the leaders of tomorrow. Can you see how this could inhibit diversity and social change? Increasingly, organizations, and in particular workplaces, need to confront issues related to technology. What happens when groups that aren't in one location have to work together? What happens when work can find you anywhere, anytime? And what happens when distraction is ubiquitous?